If you're an author or publisher looking to hire a voice actor for your audiobook narration, there are a couple of things that you need to be asking your potential narrator before you hire them. Now, we've had a number of professional audiobook narrators on the channel. I'll link the playlist down below. They break down the foundations you need to know before you even consider creating an audiobook. So we're talking how to interact with them, information they need, information you need, how the process works, how they record and then edit and polish and then deliver the final recording hours. They break all that down in that playlist. Check that one out and then come back here. Now, the first thing you need to do before reaching out to a potential audiobook narrator is do your research. Go to their website. Any professional audiobook narrator should have a website. If they don't, that's a yellow flag. Not a red flag, but it's definitely a yellow flag. It's concerning, and you should be able to find their professional website. From there, you should be able to find the other projects they've worked on. Now, you are not working with a newbie audiobook narrator. If you are, that's a special deal. They're probably not really getting paid very much, if at all, because this is their first shot. They have to have some under their belt to then get those other jobs. That's a discussion you're going to have outside of it, whatever you want to work that. Otherwise, we're looking for people who have established track records in this area. They're going to give you the most bang for your buck, and you need to be able to say that they've done things that actually qualify as work. Now, you do not have to find people who have had the biggest name books on their list. It can be indie, it can be small, it could be a publisher that is really small, doesn't have to have a lot of listens as long as you can hear the audio samples. Go to any book distributing platform and listen to the samples. But better yet, and more importantly, I want you to buy at least one or two of their books and listen all the way through it. This is going to give you a really good idea of if they are going to annoy you. If it sounds like nails on a chalkboard, don't work with them. If they are leaving editing in that you don't like, don't work with them. Some people may leave breaths in, some people don't. Depending on what you like, you can hire either way. Some people may stumble and not fix it. They may re-record a line and have not taken that out. So if the editing is poor quality, don't work with those people. Watch through it, listen through it, and make sure that it's going to work for you the way that you need before you're hiring them. Go to their website, go through all those different samples, listen to those audiobooks, make sure it's going to work for you. Now, something that is popular in the book industry is telling newbies to go to the authors of a publisher they want to work with, have a conversation, see how they like working with that publisher. This is terrible advice in publishing, in getting your book turned into a novel, because people are under contract and they can't tell you, but it's different for audiobooks. You can go to their past clients because those are contract-based projects. They're not continually working with those people. They're under no confidentiality clauses, there's no NDAs, there's nothing that's going to prevent them from telling you if they're a dream to work with or a nightmare to work with. So go to their past clients and ask those questions if that's something that you want to do. Now, from there, you are going to go through their website, make sure you know all the information about them, how they work, their process, all that should be there. Then I want you to head to their social media. Their social media is going to be key here. They should be creating a ton of content for people. They should be actively engaging with their audience, and you're going to look how they respond to people in their comment section. The videos and content that they are creating, how do they speak? How do they interact with people? Are they responding to negative comments in a good way, in an educational way? Or are they being snippy? Are they putting blame on people? Are they causing drama? Are they causing issues because they didn't do the work, but they're blaming the authors? Look for those things. We see it so often, and social media is going to be very telling on that. If they don't have social media, that's a big yellow flag. It's not a red flag, but it's a big yellow flag. You want to look to see that you are going to be able to engage with this person. You're going to be able to have those conversations. You're going to feel comfortable about the way they're going to respond to you. If you're seeing that people are being really bratty in the way that they are engaging with people, don't work with them. They're going to do it to you too. If you see that they're being nice and polite and educational and, refined about it, now you can work with them, because that's probably going to be the way that they take care of you as well. Once you've gone through their website and their social media and you feel comfortable working with them, now is the time to start thinking about the questions you're going to be asking when you reach out to them. Depending on what you want, depending on what type of conversation you want to be having, you're going to ask different questions. So with that in mind, you are going to think to yourself, what type of audiobook narration do I want? Do I want somebody to just read it through? And again, checking their samples will give you a really good idea of what types of narration they do. And you want to make sure it's in the genre that you write in, because the genre specific audiobook narrators will do better than just a random person who can read a book, right? So you want to make sure that you know, are you going into this with them just reading it? Do you want things like voices for different characters? Do you want to work with them where they're doing the female or the male perspective and somebody else is doing the other perspective? Have those conversations ready to go and make sure that you're following whatever information they have designated that you have to send in. If they don't have anything, give them as much information as possible. You can also add on additional information to what they have asked for if you want to make sure you're very clear on your wants and needs with this collaboration. From there, you are going to be asking questions about their process, the timelines, the deadlines. You are going to be asking things that are going to lead up to that contract. Now, there will be certain things that you find in the contract, like the indemnification clause, arbitration. You're going to find out what happens if they don't deliver on time. How do you go through the legal side of things to get those files or to get things done or to get your money back? That'll be in the contract. You don't have to ask that up front, but get your lawyer to look over. It's important before you're signing on with any individual where it has a contract, because you are getting something for them doing the work and you're paying them and all of those things. So have your lawyer look over it first before you sign things. And you're going to ask questions about the timelines, the deadlines. What happens if they get sick and they can't do it, or there's an act of God and they're unable to complete the files on time? If they have to find a replacement, what does that look like? What happens if they are unable to do it in the time committed to? Are they going to be giving you a discount if they don't get it to you on time after a certain amount of time? So after like a week, do they start to discount what they're doing? Do you have to wait longer? Do they have to hire somebody to replace them if they're sick, if they're in the hospital, if they're in a car accident, if something happens, they're unable to complete it? What is the next step? How is this handled? Do they have partners that they work with? Do they have other people that they can reach out to? Can they facilitate those conversations in some way? Have the conversations and work on the timeline together before you sign on to anything. You also need to know what your responsibilities are. Do you have to provide them with some type of pronunciation guide for the names? And what does that look like? Do you have to phonetically write those things out and send them in an email? Do you have to send them audio clips? What do you need to provide to them? Do you need to talk about back matter, front matter, extra things, bonus scenes? What do you need to have a discussion about with them? Ask those questions. And that's not in the first email necessarily. You can ask a couple of those questions, but your first initial email is going to be, hey, I would like to have a conversation with you about doing this project. Here's about this project. Does this sound like a potential fit that we should continue the conversation? If it is, now you're going to be asking all those questions. This is truly an interview, because this person is going to be spending a ton of hours narrating your book, and you need it to be what you need it to be to sell. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly how you want it. You have to be a little flexible about this, because this is going to be a long process, but you're also going to want to have a conversation about how many revisions you get. If they do something wrong, if they leave in issues, if they don't edit it properly, if they say words incorrectly, they're going to need to fix those. But what happens if you just don't like how they said something, or if they didn't pronounce something correctly? How many revisions do you get before you move forward with whatever it happens to be? Ask those questions. You're also going to need to ask questions about whether or not they're using any form of AI, because we've had these conversations before. Anything touched by AI is not going to be available for copyright protection at this time, given the way the court cases have gone. That can change in the future, and we've got a full playlist on AI and publishing, both from the legal, ethical, and creative sides of these things with an actual lawyer. So ask the questions, follow through the playlist, all great information. But if they're going to be using things to correct a word or to edit things in a certain way, you need to know what that is so that it does not impact your narration's copyright protection inside of this. And we've got videos on this, again, with a lawyer. Check those things out. But ask the questions. Do you use certain things? Ask about the programs that they're using so that you know, so that you're protected and safe in what you're doing, and so that they are as well. When it comes to working with an audiobook narrator, you need to have as much information as possible so that you know what you need to deliver at what times, when you can be expecting things back, and what happens if things go wrong. You definitely need that information, and all of that should then be covered inside of your contract. So once you've found somebody that you feel comfortable with, you've checked into them, you've seen their examples and their samples of the other things they've worked with, you've potentially reached out to other people that they've worked with, and you feel good about moving forward, now is the time to reach out to them and have those conversations. You can do this in a number of different ways. It can be email, it can be DMs, maybe. It could be having a FaceTime conversation. It could be whatever you need it to be. Remember, of course, all these things should then be documented inside of emails, because just having conversations and DMing and things don't necessarily give you a leg to stand on. And then all of those things should be inside of your contract as well, which is why it's so important to make sure that you have a good quality lawyer looking over these things for you. If you have more questions about how to find and how to work with good audiobook narrators, now is the time to drop those down below. Like I said, we've got the full playlist where we have had professionals on to have conversations about what you need to know, how you need to interact with people, how you can make the most out of your time and effort working with an audiobook narrator. But you can always ask those questions down below as well. We will continue our conversation on how you can be thriving with audiobooks inside of this industry and how you can be making this your most profitable year ever inside of publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make sure that you are saving time and ever creating luxury time in your business so that you can live your best life while also living out your other dreams. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.